Welcome to the StoryADay podcast. This is Julie Duffy from StoryADay.org, encouraging you to write every day, not someday. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Julie here from the StoryADay podcast, and we are well into the first week of StoryADay September 2021. How are you doing? Have you been writing to the prompts? If not, come on over to the website and check out the prompts that are already there. This is day 4, so you've got 3 to choose from if you haven't been writing. If you have been writing, I'm going to bet that you have shown up for your writing in a way that's slightly different, doing this challenge. Not everyone who's signed up has made it this far, so congratulate yourself already if you're here listening to this podcast, if you've checked out the prompts today, if you even thought about writing today. If you've been taking part in the challenge, I'm going to bet that you have learned some things about your habits, and you're going to continue to learn as you go through the month. So think about these. You want to be thinking about what you're learning about your habits. It's not all about writing a complete story every day, though that's a wonderful aim. Part of the point of these months where I run the challenges is for you to figure out your habits, figure out what you like to write, figure out where and when you like to write, figure out what it takes to get started, figure out what it takes to get to the end of a story, and pay attention to how interacting with other writers can help you. So if you've been trying to do this alone and you aren't leaving comments, cut that out. Come over to the blog, come over to the Challenge Plus site if you're part of that, and leave comments. If you're a superstar, weigh in on the Slack workspace. Let us know how it's going. Ask for help. Ask your questions. Tell us what you're struggling with and what you're learning. This week, the prompts have come from guest prompters. There's going to be one from me, but basically all the prompts this week are from guest prompters. We started off with a prompt from Fran Wilde, and I'm actually going to share my thoughts on that in the second half of this podcast. And then our second prompt was from A.T. Greenblatt, who wanted you to think about a new setting. The day 3 prompt was from Matthew Salisis, and that was quite a meaty prompt as well. That was all about point of view. Today's prompt is from Neha Medorata, who is giving you a little bit of a break in that it's a 100-word story that we want to write, and she's giving you an ending line to work towards. Tomorrow, giving you a little bit of a preview, you're going to have a prompt from Marta Pelrine Bacon, who's going to be talking about encouraging you to have a character who loses an object. So there's lots of stuff to dig into there, from character to objects to settings to loss, all kinds of stuff. My prompt the day after that is going to be encouraging you to interview a character. And then rounding out week 1, we have a lovely prompt from Roxanne Gay, which is all about writing a story that is not triggered by trauma, which is interesting because so often when we are writing, we connect to the dark and we don't always want to. And it's good practice. I think our culture tends to trivialize humor and happiness, and it can be difficult to write stories that come from a happy place without seeming Pollyanna-ish. So on day 7 of StoryADay September, you are being given permission to look to the light. Now, week 2 of StoryADay, our focus is all going to be, week 1 was all about the W of the writer code. The week 2 is going to be W is right, of course. Week 2 is going to be all about refining. So if you've spent week 1 writing stories, trying to write to the prompts, trying to get to the end of the story, trying to make time for your writing, week 2 is going to be about refining everything, refining your process, refining your expectations, figuring out what you can keep from what you've learned in week 1 and what you can discard. Have you discovered that you're really great at starting stories but terrible at ending them. Maybe in week 2 you need to focus a little on writing towards the end, skipping over the complicated middle section and giving yourself an ending. Or maybe you just need to give yourself permission to write great openings. I'm a big fan of putting endings on stories because I think it trains us to do the job that we're setting out to do. But you may find that, you may find whatever keeps you writing is what you need to do. So refine that. Maybe you thought that you were going to handwrite your stories every day, but you found out that it was frustrating. Give yourself permission in week 2 to try typing every day, or some kind of hybrid version, which is what I tend to do, which is start with a pen in my hand, and as soon as the story gets rolling, pick up the keyboard. Or you can handwrite the whole thing and then, type it in later. That can be your next month's project, to type up all of your stories, which allows you to do that first pass as you're typing it into the computer. Anyway, those are the things I'm thinking about this week, and then I'm going to pop over into the second part of the podcast here and give you a writing prompt. This is one of the enhanced versions of the prompt that if you come to the website, you'll see me talking about the Challenge Plus version of the challenge. This is where I give you these kinds of explainers of the prompts every day. They're video, audio, written, there's subtitles, there's a whole little community there. So if you're interested in getting this kind of extra support and extra inspiration during the challenge and afterwards, because you'll be able to access all of these prompts for months ahead until the new prompts go up in May, then come over to the blog and click on that button that says Challenge Plus, or check out the show notes and think about treating yourself to the enhanced version of the challenge with lots of pep talks from me, to just so that you can access those anytime you need a little inspiration. You can access them during the month, you can access them after the month, entirely up to you. I know I like to go back to things, and I sometimes I just hearing someone talk about a prompt in a particular way helps me to find a new way into it. So take a listen to the little prompt after the break, see what you think. If you like it, consider coming over and joining the Challenge Plus and getting 30 versions of prompts like that. In the meantime, keep writing. Send me your comments. Let me know how your month is going so far. I know we're only 4 days in, and seems like there's a long way to go, but you'll be through it before you know it. And every day, if you come back to the blog and check out the prompts, or sign up for the prompts by email, and I'll send you a little something every day. It will just keep you connected to your identity as a writer. Even if you can't write every day, if you're thinking about writing, all of these things are wonderful to keep you in the groove. I'm not going to talk for too long today because you have some writing to do. So after the break, listen to the writing prompt, and then happy writing. If you want to learn to write, don't read another book or article. Start writing. I'm here to invite you to consider the StoryADay 3-Day Challenge. It's a challenge and a workshop that gets people writing and completing stories in just 3 days. And it works. I'm fanatical about getting more and more diverse stories into the world, and I think yours should be among them. If you're feeling the pull to write or level up your storytelling, let me hold your hand through 3 days of short story writing. Check out the 3-Day Challenge at StoryADay.org/3DC. Okay, as promised, here are my thoughts on the first writing prompt of the month, the prompt from Fran Wilde. This, remember, is what you would be getting if you sign up for the Challenge Plus version of the challenge. But, the free stuff is always there at the blog, and huge thanks to all of the writers who've given us prompts to play with this year. So let's have a look at Fran's. Let's pay attention to what she's asked us to do. She has asked us to write a story where your character is on a bridge. And I think that's such a wonderful metaphor for where characters are in short stories. In a novel, you might see them approaching the bridge, you might see them leaving the bridge. A short story can be just that moment on the bridge where they can see what they want and they know where they've been, but they have to do something. They have to do something they probably don't want to do to get to the next step, to get where they want to go. And using this image of a character on a bridge, it's so layered. Your character wants something, and it's over there. Something is stopping them. If they're the three billy goats gruff, it's a troll. If they are, if it's a fantasy novel, maybe there's thieves on the bridge. If it's an adventure novel, maybe the bridge is rickety. If it's a family drama, maybe their spouse is trying to tell them not to go any further, and they're having an argument on the bridge. So many possibilities you can go with this prompt, but all of them will keep you focused on the fact that in a short story, a character has a choice to make, and they have an action to take. And all the story needs to be is about that. You don't need to do much setup. You don't need to really tie it up with a bow. You just need to tell us what happens and why it matters. So, put your character on a bridge. First of all, decide who your character is, what kind of character they are. Drag out your short story formula if that's helpful to you. And put your character on the bridge and think for a while about why they're there, where they want to go, what's in their way. And then, if it's early in the day, you can go off and do stuff and just let yourself mull it over. But if it's later in the day and you're up against a deadline, just start writing. You'll be fine. I have faith in you. Keep writing. Thanks for listening. Why not come over to the blog at StoryADay.org and check out this week's writing prompts and articles. And in the meantime, have a great creative week, and of course, keep writing.